Hello, fifth graders. Today we are learning this objective. Students will be able to identify atoms, molecules, elements, and compounds. And our focus words are going to be atoms, molecules, elements, and compounds. Before we go on, please pause the video and copy these words and these pictures into your journal. So you need to pause right now and you need to copy this stuff into your journal. You can press play when you're finished drawing. All right, now that that's done, we can move on. So let's talk about what an atom is. Atoms are really important because everything is made of atoms, and I mean everything from food to grass on the soccer field to us to even air. Even air is made of atoms. And atoms are these little tiny circular things that just make everything. And they're so small that we can't see them unless we have this really fancy machine. So atoms are so tiny that they can only be seen with an electron microscope. That's what this is. So an electron microscope is a very fancy, very expensive microscope that we do not have here at Chavez. But what it does is it looks at something and it creates an image of the atoms. So this is what the atoms look like in whatever it is that they're looking at here. And even smaller than atoms are the things that atoms are made of, which we don't need to learn about today. But this is a cartoon of what atoms actually look like if we could see them that close up, which we cannot, unfortunately. But yeah, atoms are so small that they can only be seen with this electron microscope. And the other important thing is that there are many different types of atoms called elements. And we actually learned how to use this table, the periodic table of elements, last week. And this is the list of all of the elements, all of the different types of atoms in the world or in the universe. So let's take a look at what's on here. Here are some examples of different types of atoms. Carbon is one example. If we look at our periodic table, we can see that carbon, which we have in green, is right here. Carbon is one type of atom, and this is what carbon looks like. Another type of atom that we have is oxygen. So let's look and find oxygen on our periodic table. Can you find it somewhere around here? Oh, it's right there. It's number 8. Oxygen is another type of atom. And iron is another example. So let's see if we can find iron. Iron is actually Fe. Iron. Oh, found it. Number 26. Iron is right here. So all of these boxes are different types of atoms called elements. And remember, last week we learned that elements in the same column, they're similar. We'll talk about that later. All right, so we just learned all about atoms, and we also talked a little bit about elements. Let's talk about molecules. So molecules are actually 2 or more atoms stuck together. There can be 6 atoms stuck together, there can be 5, there can be 5,000. As long as there are 2 or more atoms stuck together, that is called a molecule. Can we practice saying that word together? That word is molecule. Say it one more time. Molecule. Good. So 2 or more atoms stuck together is a molecule. Elements are, like we said before, the types of atoms. Anything that's just made of one type of atom is an element. So you can see that in my examples, we have Ag and Ag stuck together. Those are the same, so that's an element, one type of atom. And in the second example, we have N and N, so those are the same. They're one type of atom, they are elements. And lastly, the last thing we have is a compound. So when 2 or more different types of atoms stick together, that's when we get a compound. So they have to be different kinds of atoms. Different. So 2 or more different atoms stuck together. makes a compound. So if we look for, just a second, if we look for Ag, we can find that Ag is right here. It is silver. So silver is an element. And if we look at Na and Cl, we can find those two. They're right here. So one element is here, sodium, Na. And the other one, whoa, it's all the way on the other side, chlorine. So those are stuck together, so that's a compound. All right. We're going to do some practice with all of this stuff. You have this worksheet on your table. I want you to find it, and we're going to do the first 5 together. And after we finish, you and your partner are going to work on the rest of the questions yourself. So let's look at the first question. It says, is oxygen an element or a compound? Let's look up here at oxygen. There it is, oxygen, O2. Oh, I should have labeled these. So oxygen is 2 oxygen atoms, 2 O's stuck together. So is oxygen an element or a compound? Let's look. Let's look at our notes. I have that 2 of the same type of atoms stuck together is an element, but if they're different, there's a compound. So these are the same. These are both oxygen. So my answer here is going to be that oxygen is an element because they're both the same. Number 2 says, is O2 an atom or a molecule? Let's look. I have 2 circles stuck together, 2 atoms stuck together. That looks like I have a molecule. 2 or more atoms stuck together is a molecule. So let's go ahead and write molecule for number 2. Oxygen is a molecule, O2. How many atoms, number 3, how many atoms are in one molecule of water? All right, water's up here. Water is H stuck to O stuck to H. So if I count all atoms, I have 1 here, 1 atom, 2 atoms, 3 atoms. So how many atoms are in one molecule of water? I have 3 atoms. Number 4, what are the 2 elements that combine to make the compound water? All right, so we need to look at the compound water. Let's find water. Oh, there it is. What are the 2 elements? Okay, so here I need to use my periodic table. You have one. You glued it into your journal last week. So I have H and O. 2 H's and an O. So let's look at the table. I am looking for H and I am looking for O. Let's find H first. Oh, here's H. It's number 1. H is right here. And where is O? Let's see. Oh, here's O. All right, so now I need to look at the names of my atoms. I have H is, it says hydrogen. So I'm going to copy that name. And O is oxygen. So I'm going to copy that name. So let's go back to our worksheet. I have, for my answer for number 4, hydrogen and oxygen are the 2 elements that combine to make the compound water. Oh, I spelled hydrogen wrong. Let's fix that. All right. And number 5, the last one we're going to do together. Is carbon dioxide an element or a compound? Let's look for carbon dioxide. All right, carbon dioxide is C bonded to O. Nope, I'm sorry, that's wrong. O bonded to C, bonded to O. So take 10 seconds. Look at this. Is this an element or a compound? So check your notes again. Element is 1 type of atom. Compound is 2 or more. Let's look back. We have O and C. Those are different. So this is, carbon dioxide is actually a compound. Did you get it right? Okay. I would like you to take the next few minutes, complete the worksheet with your partner, and then you can look back at the website. You can scroll all the way down until you find the answers. Check your answers and see how many you got right. All right, I'll see you back at the carpet.